Welcome to Bluff Creek Podcast Radio.
I am Sam.
I am Ella.
And today's special guest is
Mrs. Luna.
Thank you for joining us today. Miss Luna, where do you work?
I work at Fairview Southdale Hospital in Edina.
Oh.
Mrs. Luna, the bike trip, I heard you're a pretty big bike rider.
Yes, I bike as much as I can, even now.
Do you prefer any kind of bike?
Yeah, I prefer my road bike. I have a mountain bike too, and I do like to mountain bike, but I prefer to ride my road bike.
Does it just kind of flow better?
It does. I think part of the reason is the reason we're doing the interview is because of my bike trip, and I rode the road bike that I have now. I rode across the country, and so I think I'm just so comfortable on that bike that's why it just feels like it's a part of me.
So, the bike trip, how many different states did you go through?
Oh, you asked me that earlier. Let's count them together. So we did California,
which is one,
Nevada,
which is two,
Utah,
which is three,
Colorado,
which is four,
Kansas,
five,
Missouri,
6,
Illinois,
7,
Indiana,
8,
Ohio,
9,
Pennsylvania,
10,
New York,
11,
Connecticut,
12,
and New Hampshire.
13 states. Wow, what a bike ride.
And how long did it take you to complete this bike ride?
It took us 52 days. So we did 47 days of riding, and then we had 5 rest days. So after about every 7 or so days, then we would have a day where we didn't ride, and we stayed in one city, and we just kind of had fun there.
Oh, and I was wondering, what is your favorite climate to bike in?
Oh, actually when it's a little bit cool. So probably, I loved biking. We biked over the Colorado Rockies, and I loved biking over the Rockies. Probably one of my favorite things is because when you're biking up a mountain, then it's really hard when you're biking up. But you get to the top, and it's amazing what you can see. And then you have a super fast, fun downhill.
Oh, that sounds fun. So like we were talking about before, the wind, so that is major change in
In Kansas especially. Yeah, the wind can make a big difference in how fast you can go. And so one day in Kansas, the wind was at our back. And most people bike across the country from west to east because the wind does typically blow from west to east. But we were biking in Kansas, and one day the wind was at our back, so it was blowing from west to east, and we were averaging 25 miles an hour and just not having to work very hard at all. The wind was super strong, and it was just blowing behind us. But then the very next day, the wind shifted and blew from east to west, so it was blowing against us, and we only averaged 12 miles an hour. So the wind can make a huge difference.
Did you ever have any problems with the bikes, flat tires, or?
Oh, my roommate, when I didn't know anyone when I started the trip, but a girl that I happened to be rooming with, she and I became best friends, and we rode every single mile of the trip together. And so we had one of our days was 121 miles. That was our day into Salt Lake City, and she had 7 flat tires that day. So that night, a couple of the guys on the trip were like, you need to put Mr. Tuffy's in your tire. And what Mr. Tuffy's are is they're this thin, kind of thick plastic actually, that you line your tire with. That way if something punctures your tire, it won't go into your tube and give you a flat tire. So she and I put those in that night, and neither one of us had another flat tire. But what did happen was when we were putting the Mr. Tuffy's in, we were out at the pool, and it started raining. And so we threw our tires back on really quick and put our bikes back in. And the next day, I was having so much trouble riding. I was just getting so tired. And I didn't notice until we took our bikes in the motel that night that I had been riding with my brake rubbing the entire day. So I rode 85 miles with basically my brakes on one day. and that was a fatiguing day.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, so that was our biggest problem. But then we did not have another flat tire until when I took my bike off the beach when we dipped our front tires in the Atlantic Ocean in New Hampshire, and I took my bike off the beach and my front tire was flat. But I didn't have another flat tire all the way from Salt Lake City, Utah to Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Your bike just might have been tired after that
I think
whole
it
journey.
was. Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to give you a flat tire now.
Yeah. Maybe it was a sigh of relief and just let all that air out.
So what was the celebration?
The celebration, we had a party the last night, the night before we got to the beach, we had a party, and so we did fun little gifts for each other and stuff like that, and kind of, because, you know, when you're biking with that many different people, everybody has their own personalities and unique things about them, and so they, and I told you, the girl that I roomed with, she and I didn't know each other until the day we started the bike trip, so they gave us friendship bracelets because she and I had become such good friends, and we rode every mile together. Yeah.
Did you ever, did you wear helmets?
Yes, everybody had to wear a helmet. Yep, you couldn't be on the trip if you didn't wear a helmet. And we rode, actually, even, you aren't allowed to ride your bike on the interstate in most states, but we did have to ride actually on the interstate in California for a short period of time because of construction.
Do you have any kids?
I do. I have 2 kids. I have Sierra is in 6th grade at Chaska Middle School West now, and then I have Nicholas who goes to school here, and he's in Miss Akers' classroom this year.
Oh.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Today's podcast was brought to you by
Bluff Creek Podcast Radio, encouraging you to connect with someone new today.